Okay, so hola. Today we're going to be talking about los mandatos informales or formal to commands. You're likely to hear my dogs in the background here, or at least one of them. So if they get loud at any point, I apologize in advance. You're going to be learning how to use affirmative and negative, actually negative first and then affirmative commands. So you can learn how to tell people what to do or what not to do appropriately. So let's get started. We're actually going to start off with los mandatos negativos, so negative commands. And the important thing to know with these is that there are a couple more steps in terms of following most negative commands, so it does take a little more time here. What you want to do is you make sure that you know the following things. You want to make sure that you get down all of the examples, and as you complete each practice section, you want to make sure that you call me over to check your work to make sure you're on the right track. So first off, we use negative commands to tell someone not to do something. Okay? This doesn't mean that we're telling them to do something negative. It's just saying we're saying don't do this. Like, for example, don't worry about that assignment because you can make it up later. Okay? The big thing you need to realize is that when it comes to forming them, we're starting off with the yo form of a verb in the presente dell'indicativo, which is another way of saying the regular present tense. It's actually the official way of saying the regular present tense that you've been working with since 6th grade or Spanish 1. The next thing that you do is you drop or get rid of the O at the end of that form of the verb. And then you have to add the appropriate endings. So for AR verbs, you're going to add the letters ES for ace. For ER and IR verbs, you're going to add the letters AS for us. And of course, to make this a negative command, you always want to make sure that you put the word no before the command. I'm going to ask that you write down a few examples. So here are your examples for la primera página, page 1. We're starting off with no salgas de la clase sin permiso. Don't leave the class without permission. No vendes un hueso si está roto. Don't bandage a bone if it's broken. The third one, no recetes antibióticos si el paciente no los, it should say necesita. I have to fix that there, don't I? So don't prescribe antibiotics if the patient doesn't need them. And once again, the last word should be necesita, Necesita. That is clearly a typo on my end. And número 4, no pongas las gotas para los ojos en el oído. So don't put eye drops in your ear. Now, what you're going to do before we move on is you are going to pause the video. You are going to attempt examples número 1 a 5 on páginas 1 y 2. Then please call me over to check before moving on, because there are a few more irregularities with these that you're going to need to get down and do a little bit of practice with before we move on to affirmative commands. Now that you're set and you've had me check over your work, there are a few other things you need to get down. This is going to look fairly similar because it's, somewhat the same as things that you've seen with the preterite. But things you need to be aware of is that verbs that end with car, C-A-R, is going to have this ending for negative to command. It's going to have case, Q-U-E-S. Gar, G-A-R, is going to end up with the G-U-E-S, gase. Zar is going to end up with ses, C-E-S. And there are also a few irregular negative commands, and you want to write the verbs and the examples here. So we have 5 negative irregulars. So the verb in the command, we have the verb estar, to be. Your irregular negative command is no estés, and the example is no estés triste, don't be sad, which, I don't know. That one always kind of drives people crazy, drives me crazy, but it's a semi-decent example, I guess. Next one down for ir, no vayas. So we have no vayas a la sala de urgencias. Don't go to the emergency room. Ir, of course, meaning to go. Saber, to know facts or information. We have no sepas in your example. No sepas la verdad porque no quieres saber. You don't know the truth because you don't want to know. Ser, the other to be, no seas. We have no seas antipático, don't be mean. And dar, no des. So dar to give, no des is your negative command. And we have no des información mala a la paciente. Don't give bad information to the patient. Now you're going to pause the video again. Complete números 1 a 5, 1 through 5, on páginas 2 y 3, and then we're going to move on to affirmative commands. Now that you've had both of your practice sections looked at so far, we're going to move on to affirmative commands. And we use affirmative commands to tell someone to do something, whatever that something is, whether that something is a good thing or a bad thing, we are telling them to, using them to tell someone to do something. Now, to form most of these affirmative to commands, you're going to use the el ea usted form of the verb in the present tense. So, for example, we have cierra la ventana, close the window. Llama a una ambulancia, call an ambulance. Examina a la paciente, examine the patient. And respira, which is breathe. And these are all telling one other individual, likely someone who's a friend, family member, etc., to do something. You're going to pause the video one last time and complete números 1 a 5 on páginas 3 y 4. Have me look at them and then move on to the end of the video. Now, for affirmative commands, we have more irregulars. There are 8 irregular affirmative commands. So we're going to give you once again the verb in the irregular command along with the example, and you need to write those down on página 4. So for the verb in irregular command, we have decir, to say or to tell. Your irregular command is di. And the example is di la verdad, tell the truth. Hacer, to make or to do, is haz toda la tarea, do all the homework. For ir, to go, we have ve a la clase, go to class. For poner, to put at a place, we have pon la curita en el corte, put the band-aid on the cut. For salir, to leave, we have sal de la clase por un rato, leave the class for a while. For ser, we have ser to be, we have ser bueno is be good. For tener, to have, we have ten cuidado, el piso está mojado, be careful the floor is wet. And for venir, to come, we have ven. So ven aquí ahora mismo is our example. We'll be practicing with these a bit, and we'll also be working with how to use object pronouns with them. There are specific rules, you'll get some practice with that, like I said. And now you'll move on to the next activity, the next practice, and please call me over so I can look at all of your work and give you credit for it. Gracias.